whatever flaws a man has, whatever flaws a person has, are usually the flaws of his age, and whatever virtues a person has are usually unique. So that's the same with Dr. Martin Luther King. What you learn from Dr. Martin Luther King is an evolution. Dr. Martin Luther King was not perfect. Right? No one is perfect. We don't achieve perfection in this lifetime. What we do is we try to be perfect. And that's one of the messages of Dr. King, is we try always to be better. We're going to fail. When we fail, we pick ourselves up, we dust ourselves off, and we try again, we try to be better. If you listen to the news today, and you hear candidates running for national office with a message that is the opposite, the complete opposite of what Dr. King said. It's a message that is divisive, that tears us apart, that doesn't attempt to bring us together, then we've got work to do. We've got to talk about Dr. King and his message again and again.
Over the years, Dr. King has become one-dimensional. We've reduced him to the I Have a Dream speech, the letter from Birmingham jail, oh, and now the movie Selma. That's what most people know about him. Most people do not know that Dr. King wrote 5 books. Every year, he delivered at least 450 speeches and sermons for the 13 years that he was preaching and advocating. We've lost sight of this rich legacy, this powerful legacy that he left us. It's a legacy of serving those that have no voice. Our children are underprivileged.
Yes.
It's a legacy of striving for the good of all humanity. A legacy that stresses us and we, not I and me. Dr. King didn't strive for recognition. He strived for the embracing and furtherance of his philosophy that through nonviolence, we can achieve an all-inclusive global community. To put it simply, Dr. King believed that violence is the result of incapability. Now, Dr. King's efforts focused on 3 forms of violence, all existing in a vicious cycle, and he referred to them as the triple evils. He cited the triple evils as being poverty, racism, and militarism. They're all interrelated, they're all inclusive, and they all stand as barriers for our living in a functioning in a global, all-embracing community. Now, to work against these triple evils of poverty, racism, and militarism, Dr. King said that we must develop a nonviolent frame of mind, adhering to his philosophy that was described in his first book, which was entitled Strive to Freedom. And they were the 6 principles of nonviolence. Let's look at the 6 principles briefly. Principle 1, simply put, nonviolence is a way of life for courageous people. He said it is active, nonviolent resistance to evil. It is aggressive spirituality, mentally and emotionally. He went on with principle 2, which said nonviolence seeks to win friendship and understanding. He said the end result of nonviolence is redemption and reconciliation. The purpose of nonviolence is the creation of what Dr. King saw as a beloved community. Principle 3, he said that nonviolence seeks to defeat injustice, not people. Nonviolence recognizes that evildoers are also victims and they are not evil people. The nonviolent resistor seeks to defeat the evil, not the person. His 4th principle, he said that nonviolence holds that suffering can educate and transform. Dr. King believed that nonviolence accepts suffering without retaliation. Dr. King believed that unearned suffering is redemptive and that it has tremendous, as he said, educational and transforming possibilities. His 5th principle was that nonviolence chooses love instead of hate. Nonviolence resists violence of the spirit as well as the body because to him, nonviolent love is spontaneous, unmotivated, unselfish, and creative. His final principle was that nonviolence believes that the universe is on the side of justice. The nonviolent resistor has deep faith that justice will eventually win. Nonviolence believes that our God is a God of justice. Love and trust will triumph over fear and hatred. Peace with justice will prevail over war and military conflict. This is the philosophy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
So this year, as we celebrate Dr. King, let us truly understand that we can never accept bigotry and racism. We need to fight it every day. You need to fight it in the home. You need to fight it when you talk to your friends. You just can't accept that. So let's make sure that his dream does live on.
First of all, in 1963, I think Martin Luther King was 32 years old. He said, of all the injustices to humanity, the injustice in healthcare is the most inhumane. He said that when he was 32 years old in 1963. This is before all the information on medical disparities. People get treated differently because of their insurance status, just skin color, because they have an accent. He said that of all the injustices, the injustice in healthcare was the most inhumane. The other relationship that Atlantic City has, that in 1964, when it comes to physicians, and the reason why I'm so glad to be here, and I lived in the city of Atlantic City. In 1964, there was a Democratic National Convention. Everybody reads about that and how that was when we had the famous walkout, Fannie Lou Hamer and the rest. But also there was another convention in Atlantic City at that time, the American Medical Association, that was being boycotted and picketed by African American physicians because African American physicians weren't allowed to be board certified. So what that meant is that the highest level of certification for a doctor that you could put on your diploma, or that you could let the public know, we weren't allowed in those organizations. Even mine, American College of Texas Gynecology, American College of Surgery, American College of Cardiology, we weren't allowed. But docs in this city in 1964 protested and broke that barrier, and the American Medical Association started letting black physicians to be board certified. You see it all the time now. But back in those days, we weren't allowed to be board certified. This has been a tough year. It's been a tough year for Atlantic City, Atlantic County, and Reliance Medical Group. But you can never judge a person or a city or a company by one season. You have to look at the whole body of work before you make a judgment, before you come out from under that. And I think, and my partner here, Vince Papacios, uses the term, I'm going to introduce some other folks, but he says that, and it's a spiritual term, we're undergoing a correction. We're undergoing a correction. But the beauty of a correction is if you stand, your victory is assured. And while you're going through the correction, you need to praise and plant seeds, so when you come out of the correction, you get a greater harvest. To be the recipient of this award named after such a distinguished gentleman. And I can only hope that my life and the life of the company that I built symbolizes what he tried to do and what he stood for. I thank you all so much.